Welcome to Stream Brio Roots, a podcast about how two people think in real time inside something we're building.
Welcome back to Brio Roots podcast episode number 2.
Yeah.
With co-host, I'm Josh.
Shane, not as nervous this time.
All right.
One under your belt. One under the belt. Yeah. You have had... How many episodes did you do with your last podcast?
Man, we did... I left the show, I think, at 179, 175, spanning 3 years.
Wow. So a bit seasoned.
We're basically modeling men's emotional health and talking about men's emotional health and the things that we don't talk about a lot as guys or share as guys with one another, and sort of exploring what that is and how men tend to, deal with our emotions in life. And we showed up as teachers for about the first maybe year, and things really flipped when we basically just started being really vulnerable about our journey and struggles and sort of weaving in what we've learned along the way. And that's when our viewership exploded. So we got up to 105,000 views a week, and the show was exploding. And then we got stomped down by the platform, and I think we're trying to promote ad spend or force us into ad spend. And I mean, it was a drastic difference. We went down to like 64 views a week. So huge change. And we got up over 100,000 views again, and then they stomped us again. And the third time that happened, I was just coming from a creator's perspective, I mean, pouring out our hearts every week, and we didn't pour money into ad spend. And the show grew because of the content, and it grew because of what we were sharing so vulnerably on the show. And that was the value, but the platform had control, and the platform was ultimately, I mean, they win every time. The creator has no power in that, and we've given away all of our power to these platforms. And so it was the third time that the platform did that. I was like, man, if we could own our own network and if we as creators controlled the platform, and it wasn't about popularity or ad spend or, ranking, we're not trying to outrank one another. I mean, the competitiveness out there too really sucked. It was like, I didn't want to compete with other shows because they're doing amazing work and talking about incredible stuff too. And I hated that it was this popularity contest out there, along with the platform struggles. So yeah, you and I were off of, the Shark Tank season had ended at that point, and we were shooting another thing, thinking that was that was going to be our escape from television. And I was still doing the men's show at this point, and I called you up on like a random Saturday?
It was a Sunday. Okay. I remember it specifically because I was at the park with my wife and son, and I was... this is not pertinent to the story, but here's some detail. I was having an interesting conversation with a guy that my wife thought would probably become my best friend because she met this really cool woman, and so they wanted to get the husbands involved.
It's like a couple's date, or like a parents date for the kids.
That's what they look like now. Yeah.
Exciting life, man.
So I'm talking to this cat. He's nice, super nice guy. I asked him what he did, and he's a designer for sperm.
Wait, what?
It was a sperm bank website, and he was designing things, and he was really animated and excited about it, where I was like, cool, like that's great. The conversation was all right, first time, but you called me up, and I was kind of ready for a break. I think I was like,
you needed a sperm discussion break.
Yeah. There was, I don't know if I've really talked to, this is probably too much for me anyway, like to even talk about sperm for this long. But it was awkward for me. Maybe I got some growing to do, or I need to look into that. Probably not. I won't.
I think that's a healthy.
I'm good. I'm good.
I think there's a pretty minimal.
Yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
I don't even want to. I'm done. So so you called me up. I was like, hey, I'm sorry, this is a business call. I really gotta go. And so I walked away, and you brought it up like, hey, so I was thinking, do you wanna start our own network? And
did I really say that bluntly?
yeah, it was like right off the bat.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, sure. Like, let's talk about it. We'll see you tomorrow.
Tell me more.
And you went on a little more. You had just started looking into it over the weekend, and I was like, yeah, like this sounds awesome. I think we were also like so eager. We're our creative juices. This is a wrong time to even say that. Like a horrible segue.
Not a good follow up after the sperm talk.
No. And you just followed up. So we could have just let it be. But yeah, and then I showed up the next day for us to work, and that's what started this whole thing. And you went through just your frustrations, because you were still shooting, you were still doing the podcast, and where it wasn't about, it didn't matter what you did unless you paid
content wise.
Yeah.
And value.
Yeah. And value. It didn't matter. Like it stripped the value, someone else stripped the value from you, which sucks. It's horrible to stomp it. Especially knowing, I mean, that was you guys, but other creators too, where they put in everything, and invest so much of their lives into it, and then it's controlled by some bloody king, waving his wand and trying to. I get the business side of things, but it doesn't make it just, I guess.
No. And pretty early on, you and I both love brands that give back and that have a social mission. And we started asking the question, like, well, what if we profit shared with our creators and made them partners? Could we afford to do that? Would it eventually slowly tank the network and kill us slowly over time and kill the whole project for everybody? Or could it have wings? Could it work?
It needed to be a win-win situation. And how much can we, at that time, it's like, how much can we give away? Mm-hmm. Like, is this sustainable? Can we share 20%? When we're not making much, can we share this 30%? Can we share 40%? And we just kept upping the number. Mm-hmm. For this to work, for this to be beneficial, it has to benefit everybody. That there can't be any greed in it for anyone, including ourselves.
Correct.
And that's what matters more than anything else. Mm-hmm. And that's what we see. Like, that's why the creators are getting behind this, and that we're doing this all together. That's the fulfillment.
Again, what do they say? Here's my old man term. All the tide rises all ships. It's that, they win, we win, viewers win for having all of this content curated in one place for them in a clean environment that's distraction free. And it was always, how do we make the win work? Business
win. Yeah.
Which was a really fun challenge.
It is a challenge. Yeah. It's a very big challenge. Yeah. We ended up did we talk about, like, we pitched it once to an investor. The investor saw it and he was all in. We're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is 3 years ago now. Yeah. And, where we were pumped. We were really excited.
Like right out of the gates.
Right out of the gates. We didn't have to go through all that. And then some stuff happened. We had to dissolve that. It was healthy for all parties. Yeah. That was a hard choice to do, but it was. It would have. We had given away too much, to where it would have tanked the business immediately. So that doesn't help anyone.
It would have just slowly killed the network and it not be sustainable.
Yeah.
That was our first choice on protecting the network. And
that was,
I didn't even think about that till just now. Protecting the business model so that we can continue to make it profitable for everybody.
Yeah. And then, that was a hard one. That was a really difficult one to let go, but the right choice, which was good. And then we had to jump into the numbers again, and then looking for investors and emailing and contacting, 100 venture. Yeah, it was just a bunch of VC firms and everything. And I think it was what we needed. Like, we had to understand, we had to dive deep into business, then dive deep into legal, and understand a lot of what we don't know. Like, we're still learning. So
even being a part of Shark Tank for as many seasons, since season 1, we learned a lot in the wings, and we so just for backstory for everybody at home, so in normal TV we decorate the sets. On Shark Tank season 1, we came in to help decorate the displays for the entrepreneurs. So we're actually in a really fun position where our team gets to work with every single entrepreneur who's ever been on the show since season 1. And we learned how to like design and communicate their brand visually and tell their stories in visual ways with their displays. And I mean, gosh, we've done so many wild things on the show to really champion these brands and these people and their stories. And it's funny, we ended up here.
On the other side of things.
It's a similar energy in a sense that, championing the creators and their message and who they are on the Brio Network feels very much like that same.
It's those conversations that I get behind, and I like we will purchase things from whether it's clothing or what, especially if we know their story and where they've come from. Now I want to get back, I want to get behind them and support them. So that's what this podcast will eventually be, is how do we support these creators,
tell their story,
and by understanding them, that we can come behind them and have a deeper we can most likely resonate with almost everyone if we choose to. We can learn something from everybody, but we can also be inspired by everyone, because everyone's got a unique story. And everyone's got a unique story worth telling. Rarely are we the ones to actually sit down and listen and ask the questions to where we all sounds like we speak the same language. We don't. Not even close. Honestly, like that's what we were kind of referring to in the last podcast, is we're having to get down to how do we define a word, because your relationship with it is very different than mine, and it should be. Of course it's going to be, but we can say the same words, but have totally different meaning, totally different foundation, totally different direction. And until we understand that, we really can't. We can pretend to know someone or pretend to understand someone regardless of our curiosity, but until we start dissecting even those words or where people are coming from, we don't know. Which is okay. We don't have to know everybody, but I'd like to understand some people.
And I think that's the foundation of Brio Roots, is this curiosity. We are so different in how we all grew up, and then we also have so many similarities too, and fears and anxieties and insecurities, and commend you for standing square in the middle of your fear of the podcast and stepping up today in episode 1 and jumping into it, because Shano, like you said, everyone has a story to tell, and yours is amazing. And I can't wait for people to get to know you like I've had the pleasure of getting to know you all these years, because your heart is incredible, and I don't need any reciprocation. This is all about you. I'm gonna shine some light on you for a minute. Yeah. But yeah, man, seriously, I'm so grateful that we met on set all those years ago and worked side by side, and that I've had the pleasure of getting to know someone as incredible, a soul as incredible as you, and to be able to call you my brother in this life. It's been so fun, and what we've learned together, I can't wait to take that and expand upon it. And, you know, in the podcast here and in our work on the network, all the incredible creators that you've been our creator finder master. I don't, is there a title? Is there a cooler name for that?
Yeah, definitely not master. Absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You pour your heart into you. It's your heart, your values, your the conversations that you love having are the people that you are finding and bringing to the network, and that we are finding and bringing to the network.
Yeah,
that's what we value, and that's what we love, and that's what is so ingrained in the heart of every piece of Real.
It's the details.
Yeah,
like even the details that people never see. Like it doesn't. Yeah, it matters to us.
It does.
Like that matters. But yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
When do you know, like, when, as both of us are scouring the planet for all of these creators, like, when do you know?
I don't think I do. Like, I don't think I can. I mean, some of the content is just beautiful. It's beautifully shot, and then some it's just raw. Like they are just being themselves. They've taken a risk of just being open. They're giving it everything they have, and you can tell. Like it's what resonates. And I think especially now with AI, I'm constantly looking at my Tickety Talk. We'll bring that back again. Looking at my Tickety Talk feed and realizing like I end up just kind of swiping because I don't know what's real or not. You know, I don't like that. You know, and so then I end up going to who do I follow, because those are the ones that I know. So now it's a much smaller list, and it's comedy, music, inspiration, philosophy, basically. And that's what resonates with me, and it's looking for just the humanness, the connection. And so as far as asking me how do I know, we don't know. We can love the content, we can love the personality. It feels authentic, it feels real, it doesn't feel like a performance. We don't fully know that until we end up jumping on a Zoom call. And some of these Zoom calls are straight business. You know, with some of them it's like okay, and then some it's they're just honest.
2 hours.
Yeah, a few hours.
Yeah.
And we're jumping on calls with people all over the world. You know, from Norway to South Africa to Australia,
Ireland, New Zealand,
Ireland, yeah, the UK. What was that other little island? A tiny little island off of Ireland.
Oh yeah,
looked it up. That was awesome.
She was great.
Yeah, but it's connecting with them. That's when we know.
Yeah,
like that's when it's when the content lines up with the values. And we all don't have to have the same values.
No.
That's how we learn. I don't surround myself with anyone that's like me. I never have like that. I don't want to be in a safe little bubble. You know, I won't grow that way. I will just become complacent and, yeah, I'm not going to learn from myself. So yeah, but what does resonate is integrity. It's people being honest. It's, you know, I have screwed up thousands of times, and I will continue to apologize to my son for that. You know, like I have told him before he was 1, I probably apologized to that kid 200 times already. It's like, I'm trying, you know, and you go through it. And I think that's kind of, it's not exactly what I expect, but when we jump on these, we don't expect for someone to be completely vulnerable when we jump on these calls with them. Sometimes that's not healthy. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a poor judge of character. I don't know. But we can tell when someone's just being honest with who they are. And I think everyone can tell. Mm-hmm. Like we can tell sure. when someone just is, stepped into this whatever facade of a suit, and performing. And that's not what we want. We're not looking for perfection.
Or performance or...
No. It's the beauty comes within the imperfections.
The mistakes.
Yeah, like that's what feels real. Yeah. That's where...
Because that's what AI will never do. Yeah. That's what an algorithm will never do.
Oh yeah, these sleepy baggy guys. Yeah. Whatever else I got going on, and yeah, like that is not AI. But I think we all know it.
On the viewer side, that's a lot of the work we've been doing on the creator side. On the viewer side, it's like I'm super excited to be putting together our meetups and groups and have fun events, and bring Brio into real life. This room, this bubble that we're creating of connection, inspiration, and that energy inside Brio, of this collective of incredible voices, incredible people. I can't wait to bring that into real life and start to really just create a space for all of us to get together and live and share and connect.
For people that don't know, I've just realized like we haven't actually explained what Stream Brio is. And it's also like we are I hate sales. Like I do. I don't even like to pitch, and we've had to do it so many times. I just want to sit down and just talk, and explain again back to the how or the why. That's what matters to me, but without giving too much of an elevator pitch, what is Stream Brio?
Oh, you're putting it on me?
Yeah, because I don't want to do it. Don't do the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
But just for anyone that's listening that doesn't know, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, to me it does anyway.
We're a super curated streaming network with a beautiful library of incredible voices that have been handpicked, covering mental health, physical health, fitness, emotional health, psychology, financial health, nutrition, and am I leaving anything out?
Addiction,
yes.
Yeah. Sleep,
breath work, meditation,
and Irish dancing.
Yeah, we've chatted a little bit about that.
Yep.
Not completely.
No.
It's not off the table.
Shouldn't be. I could do it on the table.
You do Irish dance well.
I do. Yeah. It's just not bad. This is really just an excuse for me to jump up and start going at it.
Yeah.
But
for me, this was all the information that I wished it was in one place.
Yeah.
I had some very challenging years, and I don't want to make this episode about me at all, but deep depressions, anxiety was challenged in some deep ways after my first startup crashed many years back and took me down financially. That's why financial health is so important to us at Brio, or me, to share all of that knowledge as well. And then finance was a big part of my depression, anxiety after that crash, and my battle with addiction as well. I used alcohol to numb all of those pains and used it as a tool. And so this is all the info that I wished was all in one place for me back then, because it does relate. It's you wouldn't think that financial health and mental health belong together, but how can you expect to have good mental health if your finances are a wreck and stressing you out? They all relate. And that was our reasoning for bringing all of this type of information together, is that not everybody's going to know breath work or even have wanted to try it. But by it being on the network, next to other things that you are comfortable doing, you feel safe to explore. And the whole point of Brio is to make this, to bring a bunch of incredible information that all relates to each other in a nice, clean environment that's pleasant to be in, and not overwhelming and not a mess like a lot of the other platforms have. I shouldn't talk trash about the other platforms. We're not trashing them. We're just creating a more peaceful environment.
Yeah.
There's incredible content out there, but it also gets flattened.
Yeah.
When you have breath work next to other things on YouTube, it loses some meaning. It loses its weight, its importance, its context. And we were really about designing in that thoughtful context into Brio, is what's at the heart of it. So that was the longest elevator pitch.
Yeah, it was not an
that
elevator.
was like a good 10-minute elevator pitch, but I might have to work on shortening that one.
No, that's great. I think that's the thing too, is that it's leaving room for pauses. It's giving room to digest so that you can, or maybe absorb before you. I'm not articulating this well, and that's fine. There needs to be more of this. I would like more of this. I would like more pause. I would like more, oh man, I need it. Like I rarely get the pause during the day. I need to take that time, after my workout in the morning, I finish at like 5:50, and I do a meditation or breath work in the morning, and that's sometimes the only time I get. For that pause. And I want to create these spaces so that we can just pause and think and reflect, or not. I tell you about my letting go time that I try and create, is where I just sit and I just let go of everything, let go of my thoughts, let go of the feeling, of whether I'm sitting, let go of it all. And then things just come in, things that I wouldn't even expect or envision or imagine or accept, I guess. I think we need those times. I need those times. And that's what this is too. Like I think everything is so edited, and everything has a sense of direction, or maybe even a sense of purpose. Like everything has become, and including myself, like I would have to find purpose in even my hobbies. I've got to find purpose in surfing, that while I'm sitting out there, I'm letting go and I'm not blah, 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 blah. And I have purpose, grounding as I'm, running over the rocks and all of that, instead of just allowing it and just to be. And when we find that sort of space, as far as where we are comfortable to just be, that's when we can absorb more. That's when we can have a little more clarity, a little more even discernment at times, to be like, oh, that doesn't feel good, or that feels good, or maybe I should or shouldn't. But that's kind of, that's it. We never get to be. No, even in content, there's rarely, unless there's music playing, it's hard to find, to be okay in a pause. It's hard to sit, or it can be difficult to sit and have conversation and don't say a word, but to appreciate each other's presence. Like when does that happen? Unless, you're just in bed tired or cuddling with your wife or whatever. You can only do that with very few people. I can only do that with very few people. But it would be nice to have a network where that's accepted, and more than accepted, that's invited. And you can't have that if there's this sense of overwhelm, if there's sense of direction, and that you have to be learning this.
Perfection,
you have to
optimization.
Yes.
Yeah,
all that.
It strips all the meaning.
Mm-hmm. And then you don't take that breath. You don't take that pause. So when you do it, that's also what energizes you. So when you do dive into whatever that is, you're all in. You'll get more out of, a small amount of time than trying to fight through a long period just to make sure that you put the work in. Yeah. But
beautifully
it's probably a big part of why I know for you were real frustrated with the algorithms and on the creator side. And for me, it's like I was frustrated with, I just don't have time. I have time. We all have the same amount of time, but I had all my time was taken. I had given my time to responsibilities, from responsibilities that I've chosen, and it's worth it, completely worth it. But I just wanted, I really just wanted a network where I can sit down and be like, okay, can I just type in, I got 20 minutes right now. I need to be distracted. I feel a little overly stimulated. I want to be distracted with some inspiring story. Can I type that into the search bar? And then that pops up, and now I have 4 options, sometimes maybe more, I don't know. And I can just go through and be like, cool, done. And, and now I'm not constantly searching for something that I don't know I want or don't know I need, or you're still figuring it out. Yeah. How do we simplify it? And that's what it's come down to, really. And it's been really fun to design it, and change it over and over and over. Someday we're going to have I
wish we saved our versions in Illustrator.
I know.
Instead of just keep building over top and resaving new I wish we had it'd be so cool to have that. You talked about wallpaper,
in a bathroom or something.
Our bathroom in the office, having all of our old notes and all of our old things, and but it's kind of to your point though. It's slowing down and honoring the journey. And honoring, we would consider, or some might consider those old designs failures, or but it was an evolution. And it was the seeds of what are here now, just refined and refined not for perfection, but refined for clarity, and meaning, and refined for resonance. And so I hate even calling it an evolution. It was more of a growth. It became what it was supposed to be from the beginning.
Yeah, and it'll become what it was supposed to be. Yeah. We wouldn't have gotten here without that process. It's still just part of the process. Yeah. I mean, that's everything. That's life,
right?
In general. Yeah, and we all have a different process and go through things differently. But it's good.
This whole thing for us has been it's been an unfolding discovery of what it was always meant to be. Through choices in our hearts, and what we felt was right. And that's been really fun to give birth to something like that, where it does match what we saw in the beginning, And we did set out with a vision. It hasn't been this meandering, walk through the forest discovery type process.
Yeah.
But
it's putting in the work.
Yeah. And it started with a vision. It's like all the things we create for shows. It always starts with a vision, but it does end up slightly different, slightly evolved, or slightly not even evolved, because then that means the first wasn't good. The first is always great. It's the inception. It's what you need.
Yeah.
But what it eventually grows into is always so fun to see as a creator and a builder.
Well, that's the process. Like, I know whatever I would create on my own would look cool. Whatever you would create would look phenomenal. But when we do it together, like it's different.
Yeah.
It's very different, and it
becomes something neither of us would create on our own.
Yeah. And I don't want to say it elevates, but it's like relationship. Like, we bounce things off each other. We learn from each other. We expand on each other's ideas. And it turns into something that we wouldn't have thought of on our own, which is cool. But what Bria has become, where we had an idea and a vision, and then it was trying to build something to mirror what we saw. Even though what we saw, like, it didn't change. It just progressed in a way. Like the
It's a good way to put it. I like progress. Yeah. I like the word progress better than evolve.
Yeah. It kept going. It kept running and running.
It kept
going. God, now I regret being like, we're not going to edit this. We should definitely edit that. But yeah, it's been a cool process. It's not an easy one.
We talked about it at one point that it's funny, if life was just easy or simple, the highs wouldn't be high.
Yeah, you need them both.
It's the lows that give context to the highs. This whole thing's about context. Interesting. Yeah, I'm grateful. And like we talked about the other day too, I was like, I would not replace all my hard times. I would not, if I was go back in time, as brutal as they were, drew me to the point of near suicide, I would not take it back. It's made me who I am today. So it's learning to love the lows and love what we got out of it. They're hard. And it's painful, and we're human, and we feel it, and we can't avoid that. But when you can get to the place of truly being grateful for those moments, even the hardest ones, I think that's one of the rare and beautiful celebrations in this life.
Well put.
But. So thanks for seeing me at my lowest. That's a podcast for another
whole
story.
Other podcast, yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm just so grateful to get to have these talks with you and to do this.
Me too, dude.
Yeah. Wild journey in this life, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we ended there.
All right.
That's good.
I like it.
Yeah.
Episode 2 out.
Out.
That was terrible. I'm not gonna. No, that's not our ending.
No.
We
Okay.
What are we gonna do?
I don't know, but thank you. Thank you for listening. That's not it. That's not gonna work either.
All right. Bye.
I'm not sure about this.
You gotta find a better ending.
Yeah.